Okay, so 10 years as a GC in Maui, and you've completely transformed the way you operate your business, if I understand this correctly.
Yes.
This is an amazing story, you guys. So you did 776,000 is what you've got written down there. So you went from 1.4 million down to 776,000, but your net went from 7% over to over 12%.
Yeah.
So in reality, you're handling half the work, and in the actual hardcore numbers, your profits are, according to this, you literally made $5,500 less.
Yeah.
And you've done half the work. You did over $700,000 less work, and you only lost $5,500 by doing $700 and some thousand less work.
Yeah.
That's insane. When I come out there, what's going to happen, Gabe, is I'm an artist. I'm going to be able to look at this, and I'm going to be able to put in a countertop for you that costs $5 a square foot, or a countertop that costs $25 a square foot. And if I have an idea of where your budget lies, I can start to give you options that fall within your budget, but also we can match up to those pictures that you so much like, so that we can actually create something in the end. You're comfortable with the price and you're comfortable with the look. So the first thing that I'm going to request from you is a budget, so that we can get off to the races running like it's nobody's business. All right, you guys, this is going to be part of our Listen While You Work series, which is designed to let you guys just tune into a set of headphones and keep working. Now, the overall success of this series depends upon you guys interacting with the video, so please hit the like button and comment down below. Today's word is Aloha Gabe. So without wasting any more time, let's go meet Gabe and hear his story, how he's utterly transformed his business in a completely bass-awkward fashion, but had incredible amounts of success doing it. So without wasting any more time, let's get into part one of this two-part series. Boom, and we're live. All right, so I'm with Gabe. Gabe, what do you do?
I'm a general contractor in Maui.
Okay.
I'm celebrating my 10th year.
Okay, so 10 years as a GC in Maui, and you've completely transformed the way you operate your business, if I understand this correctly.
Yes.
This is an amazing story, you guys. And Gabe, you used to do high-end custom work, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about where you started and how you got into that, and then we'll evolve to where you are now.
Well, I mean, originally it started in Minnesota before I moved to Maui, and I worked for a guy who did all types of different remodeling. So that's where I learned it, and then I took what I learned there and moved to Hawaii and ended up in Maui, and that was about 12 years ago. And so for whatever reason, I was just always known as one of these contractors that just takes on the whole project. You know,
okay.
I don't know where that really came from, but maybe it's leadership, maybe people trusted me. I don't really know, but long story short is I ended up getting my general contractor's license in Maui, and the ball just started rolling, and people just started coming to me with these big projects. For me.
So word of mouth started to spread.
Word of mouth started to spread, and I started taking on, huge home remodels. Condo remodels is a huge thing in Hawaii because of all the vacation rentals there. For a long time, it worked really, really well. And so as time went on, I started, observing my subs that I would hire. The electrician guy, the plumber guy, the excavator guy, whatever guy. And noticed that their world was a little bit easier than mine as far as estimating, pulling their hair out, they still had to work, just like everybody else. But I started kind of observing and noticing, why is it that, I'm working all night and all weekend on these super long detailed estimates and all this other crazy stuff, and these guys are rifling off estimates in 15 minutes.
Right.
So that's where it started. But, I was so busy and in the middle of, my business that I didn't know anything different. And I just kept doing what I was doing.
For how long?
Well, it really started until about 2016, 2017, I really started to take a long, hard look at myself and my business and go like something's not right, you know. And these profit margins and it actually started when I read your book,
Jack of all trades,
Jack of all-
master of two.
yeah, and it was what you talked about in that book, where it was like, you know, like doing everything is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing your numbers, and that's really where it started when I started digging into the numbers, because I had QuickBooks for a long time. I had a bookkeeper, and all the data was there. I just had to look at it. And so last year was the year I had lost a couple of guys. A couple of my main guys had moved off the island, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna make a change, now's the time. So I wrote some numbers down here. Last year, at this time, from January to September, I did 1.4 million in sales.
Yeah.
And my gross profit at the end was 7.5%, $101,000.
Okay.
And so, basically, I'm just moving money.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, that's actually a really bad profit margin.
Very bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So this year's much better because of some changes that I had made, and recognizing what's profitable, what's not. What am I just, you know? Sometimes I would sit at some of these remodels for 3 months, and the profit margin on those would be pretty low. But I could go and do a quick job for a couple of weeks, like a roof or an exterior job,
Okay.
or whatever, an exterior painting job or whatever it is, and be in and out in a week or two and make the exact same profit.
Same money.
So, you know, that really slapped me across the face. But you know, it's tough because I'm really known where I live as like the guy that gets, and again, there's a lot of me. It's not just me, but the guy who remodels the whole house. Call Gabe; he'll take care of the whole thing. You know?
Okay.
He'll quarterback the whole thing, and I'm good at it. But if the numbers aren't there, it's like
So you started to get this epiphany that why am I doing this amount of work for this amount of profit when I can take on jobs that is about this amount of work and has this amount of profit.
Yep.
So you started to micromanage or micro dig into your business and find the really profitable. I call them I don't know what
the riches are in the niches.
Yes. Okay. So you call it that or whatever. You were cherry picking the best jobs.
Absolutely.
So were you able to start to figure out which jobs were actually the best jobs, and then kind of start to model your business to go after just those?
Absolutely. And some of those jobs, like for instance, like I'm a licensed general contractor, so you know I'm not an electrician or a plumber. Like you have to have separate licenses for a lot of this stuff. But I have under my license, I have a handful of licenses I already own. I already own them. Framing, remodeling, painting, roofing. As an example, roofing is one. Roofing is not many people want to do it, especially in Hawaii. It's really hot there. But roofing was one example. Exterior work, in and out. You don't have to go inside someone's house. That's a whole nother story for another day. Going inside of someone's house is different than working on the outside of their house.
Okay.
So I found that the profit margins, for whatever reason, are higher when you stay outside of someone's house.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
I think there's more guys that are willing to go inside, and there's more guys who will go in and paint than
Okay.
there are that will go and get up on your roof.
Okay, so you can charge a premium price because you're doing a job that nobody else wants to do it. So it's basically the law of supply and demand at that point.
Yeah, and the law of scarcity. Like, you know, the roofers are scarce there.
Okay.
You know, but there's a million painters that will come in and paint your bedroom.
Okay, so they like to work in the air.
Yeah, so I just started realizing, like, you know, everybody wants to work in the air conditioning and inside and listen to the radio all day and all that great stuff, and you don't make as much money doing that.
So you had, okay, so let's go back to 2016. 1.4 million with a 7.25% profit margin, which netted you what, 101,000. So then you changed up the model of your business. You took on more bread and butter, but nichified bread and butter jobs. And then what happened to your gross and your net then?
Well, since then, I've done half the sales, and the gross profit was about the same. So it went up by about 6%.
So you did 776,000 is what you've got written down there. So you went from 1.4 million down to 776,000, but your net went from 7% over to over 12%.
Yeah.
So in reality, you're handling half the work, and in the actual hardcore numbers, your profits are, according to this, you literally made $5,500 less.
Yeah.
And you've done half the work. You did over $700,000 less work, and you only lost $5,500 by doing $700 and some thousand dollars less work.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And it goes even further than that, because like my bookkeeper, that's $700,000 less that she has to manage. That's 700,000. That's subcontractors. That's 1099s. That's bookkeeping. That's
I call them bullseyes, Gabe. So the bigger a company grows, the bigger the bullseye on their back grows, and the more guys outside or customers or people's perception, they think you're this big giant target for fraudulent lawsuits,
right.
discrimination lawsuits from contractors that aren't happy or whatever, you name it. So the less you're actually out there in the world doing that, the less liability that you have.
Right.
I mean, are you seeing that at all? Or?
Well, yeah, I am, because part of that eye-opening experience around 2016 was when I first met you. Was I was going through a lawsuit, and I was kind of just dumbfounded, like, how in the world could this happen to me? But it happens to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're good, bad, or whatever. And so what I realized is the reason that happened is because everything got so big and kind of borderline out of control that I had missed some steps with this certain customer, and it ended up in a lawsuit. And we eventually settled, and everything's fine now. But at the time, it was very scary. And it was confusing. It's like, how did this wasn't supposed to go down this way? And so that's an example of the bullseye getting bigger and not really realizing it. And it's like, that's a consequence.
What are you going to do next year? Are you going to actually try to shrink your numbers some more?
Yeah, I since then I have I had a couple guys move off the island, so I have replaced them with new guys that are running jobs for me. But we constantly are talking about riches are in the niches. Why are we sitting? And occasionally, I'm still doing some of those remodels from the past.
Okay.
But I've adjusted my numbers, so I'm not just moving money for 3 months remodeling these houses and condos. So if the numbers are right, I'll do it.
So have you dramatically raised your prices then?
Yeah, I have.
And have you basically just quit caring what customers' perceptions are? I mean, because you've probably had customers look at you like, why are the prices so high now? And do you come back and say, because I want to make a living too? Or how do you approach that?
I have a script now. I vet people before I even go to their house. I won't go over to their house. And it's not an ego thing or an arrogance thing. It's just no one's going to care about my time except me.
Yeah.
And that was a really hard thing for me to learn. And so now, before I even engage in someone, I ask a lot of questions before I go over there. And if they can answer most of them, I'll go over and
So let's do something fun. Can we do a role playing where I'm the customer and I'm calling you up to do?
Yeah.
What kind of project would you typically then screen? I want to actually. All right, you guys. Well, we're going to be wrapping up this series in the next episode with Gabe, figuring out exactly what it took for him to have the bravery, the courage to actually completely transform his company. Now, this was part 1. Part 2 is coming up, so make sure you guys stick around, because that one is going to be coming at you down the pipeline. And while I got you here, check out the video I'm going to pop up here, the one I'm going to pop up here. Hit the like button. and comment down below. God bless you guys, and go get them.